Hi there. In this video I'm going to tell you why I'm optimistic about what lies ahead and why it's absolutely crystal clear that Erik Ten Hag will be carrying on as Manchester United manager next season. I've just watched Erik Ten Hag's sit-down interview with Gary Neville, and what it confirmed in my mind is exactly what I've been saying all along. Erik Ten Hag will still be in the hot seat next season, and he's very much on the same wavelength as Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his new regime. What I loved about this interview with Gary Neville is how we got to hear a narrative unfiltered by the media and the critics who want Erik Ten Hag to fail. What I found encouraging was the positive message to the fans. There is an attacking style of football evolving. Our young players are very much at the core of the Erik Ten Hag revolution. And the manager is very much aligned with the Ineos vision for the future of this football club. And that means making Manchester United great again. For me, one of the key moments in Gary Neville's grilling of the manager was when he asked Erik what he previously meant about not being able to adopt the Ajax way of playing free-flowing football at Old Trafford. It's typical of the way the media interprets and misrepresents quotes from the manager that they've consistently dismissed Erik Ten Hag as not being able to deliver what he was brought in to do. But it's clear to me that's not the case. Erik Ten Hag does intend to impose a style of play that's based on the Ajax model. And it was clear from the way Erik responded to Neville's questions why it's taking longer than he'd hoped. What's been holding Erik's United back has been having the right players to do the job. When we failed to bring in his number one target, Frenkie de Jong, that was a game changer for Erik Ten Hag. He had to make compromises and adapt. But it's only slowed down the process. It's not killed the vision. With a new regime being put in place by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I expect the road ahead will be a successful one. Building on the existing foundations, we've already got a dynamic pipeline of young talent coming through. And that is fundamental to the way I believe Erik Ten Hag wants to mould his football squad at Manchester United. As we've already seen with academy stars Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo becoming key members of the first team, this evolution is already underway. And it's clear Erik Ten Hag is already planning ahead for the all-important pre-season over the summer. Meantime, with our recruitment shortcomings of the past being addressed by Ineos bringing in Barada, Ashworth, Wilcox and co, it's only a matter of time before we see a more structured influx of new signings. What we need are more young signings of the calibre of Rasmus Højlund, a player who clearly fits the Erik Ten Hag vision of how he wants United to be a dynamic attacking force. It was interesting to hear Erik Ten Hag tell Gary Neville how he wanted United to sign Harry Kane in the summer. But as Erik confessed, over the last decade, United couldn't always get the players we wanted. Explaining quite succinctly why patience is needed, this is what Erik said. With Harry Kane, you know you get 30 goals. I think Rasmus will get there, but he needs time. It's not fair to assess him the same as Harry Kane. I would never compare two players because they are very different. But with Rasmus Højlund, we got the highest potential in the striker position last summer. We are very happy with him, but he also needs time to adapt. We are very pleased he has shown his capacity to score goals. Personally, I wish we could have signed both Harry Kane and Rasmus Højlund, especially when you consider how we are overspent on Antony. Erik Ten Hag went on to mention Mason Mount as being a dynamic midfielder he really wanted at the club. But of course, he's been one of the players badly disrupted by injury. Erik made a clear dig at the media when he talked about how anyone who understands football will know what a difference their injuries have made this season. I don't like excuses, but I do think it's fair to say the injuries we've had do highlight how our squad lacks depth. And that brings us back to the failure of our recruitment department over the past decade or so. What I took from Erik Ten Hag's frank and revealing interview with Gary Neville is confirmation that Erik is here to stay, whatever happens between now and the end of the season. With or without European football next season, with or without the FA Cup in our trophy room, I believe we've already seen the signs that this football club can finally start moving forward again. And that makes me optimistic because I think the strong leadership we're seeing right at the top from Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his Ineos team will give Erik Ten Hag the support he needs to do his job. Meantime, if we can end this horrible season with the FA Cup, well, that would be a real bonus. Over the past decade, the glory hunters and the noisy fan channels have found it hard to accept not seeing United reign supreme like we did for so long under Sir Alex Ferguson. Successive managers have tried and failed to bring the glory days back to Old Trafford. And the silverware we've collected since Sir Alex Ferguson departed doesn't match the achievements of our greatest rivals over at Liverpool. We've fallen a long way short of those noisy neighbours over at Manchester City as well. And those who envy our popularity have revelled in our decline. Not surprisingly, our fans blame the Glazers for letting this magnificent football club fall behind as nearly 2 decades of neglect has taken its toll. But things are changing, and the new regime is determined that sooner or later this football club will be back at the top of English football. We don't have a divine right to be successful, and it's clear we have to work harder. But we've come back from far more challenging setbacks in our history. And things are not as bad as some critics will have you believe. Our under-18s look unstoppable. Our academy continues to churn out top quality youngsters. And the prospect of building a new era around homegrown talent is a really exciting one. For me, the greatest victory of recent times has been resisting the temptation to sell our soul and hand the keys to our kingdom to the state-sponsored Qataris who would have destroyed our heritage overnight. Whatever you think of the Glazers, and God knows they've got a lot to answer for, I personally will always be grateful that they didn't cash in by selling our football club to Qatar. State-sponsored Manchester City may have an absolutely fabulous team, but at what cost? City's success was enabled by financial doping. When the short-term gratification of the Pep Guardiola era of domination is over, one day they will wake up and realise their proud heritage was stolen by a self-serving regime that distorted the face of football. That may happen sooner rather than later if City are punished for those 115 charges. Meantime, there is something hollow about the whole City success story. You only have to contrast the lethargic global response to City's state-sponsored treble to the unbridled adoration for United's historic treble of 1999 to understand the meaning of true greatness. When United conquered all, it was the most authentic and awe-inspiring achievement in the history of English club football. 25 years on, it feels like we're a long way from ever getting close to repeating that glorious feat. But I'm proud of the way I believe United are going to try to climb that mountain by continuing to develop the world's greatest ever academy of football. The academy that gave us the Busby Babes, immortalised by Duncan Edwards and the heroes we lost at Munich. Bobby Charlton, George Best, Norman Whiteside, Mark Hughes, the all-conquering class of 92. Our academy has never stopped delivering. And with financial fair play now having a big impact, it's more important than ever to keep producing young stars like our current crop of Mainu, Garnacho and co. Our academy is the lifeblood of this football club. And the growing strength of our academy is one of the factors that gives me confidence we're moving in the right direction as a football club. My favourite quote so far uttered by Sir Jim Ratcliffe is when he dismissed the idea of breaking the bank to sign Kylian Mbappe. I'd much rather we discovered the next Kylian Mbappe, said Ratcliffe. I'm hugely optimistic that Jim will fix this football club, and I take pride in knowing that my campaign, spearheaded by our former club director Michael Knighton, helped push Sir Jim into the spotlight. Followers of this channel will know that we campaigned for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to buy Manchester United long before any expert or media organisation accepted that the Glazers would ever relinquish control. Now that Sir Jim has wrestled day-to-day control of the football club from the Glazers, I believe it's only a matter of time before we're heading back up that mountain. While Jim and his Ineos group can't guarantee success, they will do their best to make this football club great again. Of that, I've no doubt. We've already seen their statement of intent by replacing the likes of Richard Arnold and John Murtough with the men they believe are the best in class. Fixing what was broken at this football club had to start at the very top. And it's been encouraging to see Jim Ratcliffe making bold appointments and bold statements. Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox all look like a massive step up on what they're replacing, while Sir David Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc are both formidable operators. And all the signs are that Erik Ten Hag is the man they want to coach the team and to shape our future out on the football pitch. So Jim Ratcliffe is no fool. He's one of Britain's most successful ever businessmen. But making Manchester United Football Club great again would be his finest ever achievement. And let's be serious here. Jim Ratcliffe is not in this fight fueled by an obsession with making money. Now, he already earns far more money than he will ever need from his petrochemicals empire. The satisfaction and legacy of making Manchester United Football Club great again will be a far, far greater reward than any amount of money.